The Vrak scouts circled the perimeter for the third time that morning, their thermal sensors sweeping across the dense foliage of Kepler 442b's northern continent. Their mandibles clicked in confusion as they transmitted their report back to the warship in orbit. Sector 7 Alpha. No movement detected. Repeat, no thermal signatures, no motion, no electromagnetic activity. It was impossible. Intelligence had confirmed a human military outpost in this exact location, guarded by a pack of Therian warriors, the galaxy's most feared apex predators. Creatures standing 3 meters tall, covered in obsidian scales with claws that could rend durasteel. The Therian had allied with humanity 2 cycles ago, a partnership that had turned the tide of multiple conflicts. Yet the scouts saw nothing. What they couldn't see was Sergeant Mara Wynn sitting perfectly still beneath a camouflage net, her breathing reduced to barely perceptible movements. Around her, arranged in a semicircle, sat 7 Therian cubs, each one already the size of an earth grizzly bear, though none had yet reached their first molt. The largest cub, Karin, had his golden eyes fixed on Mara with an intensity that would have unnerved most species. His tail, thick as a tree trunk, lay motionless behind him. Not even the tip twitched. "Breathe from your center," Mara whispered, her voice barely more than a thought carried on the wind. "Feel the ground beneath you. You are stone. You are mountain. You are eternal." This was the 3rd week of what the Therian Alpha had called the human's madness. When Mara had proposed teaching meditation techniques to the cubs, the Alpha had laughed, a sound like boulders grinding together. Therian were hunters, predators, warriors. They did not sit still. They moved, they struck, they conquered. But then Mara had demonstrated something that changed everything. She had disappeared. Not with technology, not with camouflage, but through sheer discipline of mind and body. She'd become so still, so perfectly aligned with her environment, that even the Alpha's enhanced senses had lost track of her. For 17 minutes, the most powerful predator on 3 planets had been unable to locate a human sitting 5 meters away. The Alpha had been intrigued. More than that, he had been humbled. "In my species' ancient history," Mara had explained, "warriors would train for years to master stillness. Not because they were weak, but because true predators understand that patience is the greatest weapon. The hunter who moves first often loses. The hunter who becomes invisible, who can wait for days, weeks, until the perfect moment, that hunter never fails." Karin had been the first to volunteer. As the Alpha's eldest, he carried the weight of expectation. He was supposed to be the strongest, the fastest, the most aggressive. But Mara had shown him something else. Control was strength. Patience was power. Now, as the Vrak scouts passed overhead for the 4th time, Karin understood. His heart's beat in the slow rhythm Mara had taught him. 4 counts in, hold for 7, 8 counts out. His body temperature had dropped by 3 degrees through controlled circulation. His electromagnetic field had diminished to ambient levels. Even his scent had changed, mixing with the earth and vegetation until he was indistinguishable from the forest itself. The younger cubs struggled. One whimpered softly. Another's tail betrayed him with a nervous twitch. But Karin remained absolute. He had found what Mara called the center, that place of perfect calm where conscious thought dissolved into pure awareness. Above them, the Vrak scout commander made his decision. Sector 7 Alpha is empty. Intelligence was incorrect. Moving to Sector 8. The alien craft banked away, their engines fading into the distance. Mara waited. 5 minutes. 10. 15. Finally, she released a single soft breath. "Open your eyes." 7 pairs of luminous eyes blinked in the shadowed forest. The cubs remained still, waiting for permission to move. This too was discipline. "Karin," Mara said. "Assessment." The large cub slowly rose, his movements deliberate and controlled despite his size. 4 scout vessels. Vrak's coalition pattern, thermal and electromagnetic scanning. They passed directly overhead at 17-meter altitude. He paused. "They did not see us," Mara nodded. "Why?" "Because we were not there." Karin's voice carried a note of wonder. "Not truly. We had dissolved into the environment, become part of the forest rather than separate from it." "Your father thinks this is weakness," Mara said quietly. It wasn't a question. "My father," Karin replied, "has never been invisible to his enemies. He wins through strength and speed and fury. These are the old ways, the ways that worked when Therion fought Therion. when enemies could be seen and met with claws and fangs. He looked down at his massive hands, flexing the talons that could disembowel an armored soldier. But the galaxy is large, and some enemies cannot be defeated by meeting them head-on. Some battles are won by those who are never seen until it is too late. The other cubs were standing now, shaking out their limbs, but still maintaining an unusual quietness. Even the youngest, barely 3 months old, seemed changed by the experience. Sergeant Wynne, Karen continued, using her proper title for the first time. Will you teach us the next level? Mara smiled. Among her own kind, she had been Special Forces, a ghost operator who had survived behind enemy lines for months at a time through these very techniques. The military had wanted her to train human soldiers, but she had seen a different opportunity. The Therian were apex predators, yes, but they were also intelligent, capable of learning, of adapting. And if humanity's greatest allies could master the arts of patience and invisibility, in addition to their natural ferocity. The next level, she said, standing smoothly, is teaching you to move while remaining invisible, to hunt not as a storm but as a shadow, to strike from nowhere and return to nowhere. Karen's eyes gleamed with understanding. Ghost warriors, Mara confirmed. Somewhere in orbit, the Vrak scouts were reporting to their commanders that Sector 7 Alpha was clear, that intelligence had been faulty, that no human outpost existed in this location. They would learn the truth eventually, but by then, it would be far too late. In the forest below, a human sergeant and 7 apex predators sat down once again to practice the ancient art of becoming nothing, and in that nothing they were becoming something the galaxy had never seen before. The scouts noted no movement. That was precisely the point.